Microphone is on, script is in front of me, and shine levels are optimum. Let's do this. Hello all of you little demons, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, back again with another episode of the awesomely named and awfully hosted Choose Your Own Adventure, the weekly medieval themed format where I, the crown jewels of WhatCulture.com, take a list chosen by you. Yes, you, the person who is sitting there thinking, now that Jules has shaved off his beard, I wonder what subject he would have taught at my school. The answer is geography, and yes, I will be seeing you after class. Yes, you get to choose what list I dole out to you each and every week. And this week we have Nicole Walker to thank for their suggestion of video game moments that just made you go, what? That's it? And I'm sorry, my dear, I had to tweak it ever so slightly to get those YouTube ducats raining from the skies to appease my bosses, and I've done it so that we're focusing on endings today. Because this is the thing, video game immersion is really, really important. Whether it's through characters, gameplay, or aesthetics, keeping you locked in is essential for developers because they want us, after all, to keep playing their games. The problem is, though, when it comes to endings, a lot of people drop the ball. Some of them, they give us a heartfelt salute, a pat on the back, and a little cheeky tap on the bum and say, well done, soldier. We'll see you in the sequel. Good job and all that. But other times, they just clock off early for lunch. They just are like, you won. See ya. So we're going to be focusing on those moments of video game endings that left us just going, what the hell was that? So with that in mind, I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 video games that ended way too soon. And you know the drill by now. Pop your suggestions down in the comments down below, and I will take one of them, eat them, and digest them, and turn them into a lovely list for you beautiful people next week. And yes, don't think I've forgotten. It's a Halloween special. I wonder if something spooky might occur. I probably should have chosen a Halloween-themed list for this one, but hey-ho! Anyway, let's get on with the list. Number 8, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Now, it might seem a bit odd to put Hideo Kojima anywhere near a list of video games that ended way too soon, seeing as the man literally eats dictionaries for breakfast and shits out conspiracy theories every single day of his life. But yes, when it came to Metal Gear Solid 5, there definitely was a lot of cut content. In fact, it was completely bereft of direction come the closing act. Throughout the incredibly produced experience, we had come to learn the twists and turns of Venom Snake, of soldiers who breathe through their skin, of political strife, and of a world only barely saved from nuclear war multiple times over. And yet, just when the pieces were falling into place, the entire game, just fell on its arse. It is clear that the Konami/Kojima fracas was causing development issues to occur, and it definitely shows in the final act here, because what happens is you just rehash missions from the front end of the game, and when you finally complete it, you just go, well done, I guess you did it, nuclear war's averted. Do you want to play Metal Gear Survive? What a game. What a game. But to be fair though, if you felt shortchanged by this ending, you could always just pick up a copy of Death Stranding, which had an 1.5 hour long cutscene in its closing act. The man does not mess around. Number 7, Resident Evil 3 Remake. Now, I'm not going to lie, my friends. I am absolutely, I'm absolutely in love with what Capcom are doing at the moment. They have been hitting it out of the park recently in a sort of like career renaissance. I mean, you look at the epicness of the Monster Hunter games. You look at how fantastic the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes were. It makes you wonder if they can carry on this hot streak, what next is going to come from their delicious, sultry lips. But the problem is that while I really did enjoy Resident Evil 3's remake, it wasn't as good as Resident Evil 2's remake, was it? Let's just be honest here. I mean, it had a lot going for it. I mean, it had Nemesis, it had lots of action, it had really, really high stakes. But the problem was that a shorter development time definitely meant that the closing act of this game suffered a teeny tiny bit. Like I said, the title had a brilliant pace, outstanding gunplay, and of course the star of the show, Nemesis, who felt unrelenting in his quest to murder Jill Valentine. Every single time he dropped in or popped up elicited screams of terror, especially because the bastard could run. That being said, I can't be the only one who felt a little underwhelmed by the ending. Not only did the final confrontation with Nemesis feel feel a little lackluster, but the showdown with Nikolai on the rooftop, that was completely throwaway, to the point that you wonder, was it meant to be a planned battle that was scrapped? You can't deny that when you got onto the helicopter at the very end of that, you were like, wait, was Nikolai the final boss? He's the last thing I shot? Oh god. Sorry, Nemesis, you've been completely upstaged. In fact, you could say he wasn't the star of his own show. Kill me now. Number 6, Vanquish. It is honestly difficult not to get swept up in Vanquish's sheer insanity. The entire experience is like a roller coaster, but in place of slow machine-assisted pulls to the top of the tallest peaks, the roller coaster instead has rockets blasting you over them, giving you whiplash and liquefying your insides. Don't think that would pass safety inspection if it were real. Osley, you play a lot of roller coaster games. Does that sound like something you'd make?
Machine-assisted pulls to the top. It's a lift hill, you bloody idiot.
Yeah, that's right. I put you in 2 sketches today. And yet, despite blasting us through wave after wave of massive mechs and grinding so hard that you'd swear that you could smell Sam Gideon's butt cheeks being cooked, the ending was, well, less of an emotional high and a moment that felt like ramming into a brick wall at speed. Again, Osley, have you made that roller coaster?
Mr. Jaws' Wild Ride looks too intense for me.
Yeah, that's right. 3 sketches. After battling 2 big robotic battle suits, the player rightly thinks that now is the time to take on the big bad of the picture, Victor. However, the game just suddenly and abruptly announces that Vic the Dick has blasted off from the space station and is heading back home to Russia, claiming that he's done all he needed to. Oh, okay then. Just no final battle whatsoever. No opportunity to use a really cheesy one-liner as I killed him. I mean, he smokes quite a lot in that game. I was thinking he was going to put a cigarette out on his face or just be like, smoking kills. None of that. I mean, we did get an image of the president shooting themselves in the head. At least you can say that you didn't expect that. Number 5, PT. Another Kojima-helmed project that just didn't get the love and care that it deserved. I mean, PT was so bloody good, Konami, what the hell were you thinking? The worst thing about this entry isn't that it's so much of it finished too soon, it's that it never even got a chance to get going. It still boils my piss that Konami looked at the rave reviews, the unmitigated hype that this teaser experience provided and just went, nah, this won't sell, best slap some zombies over Metal Gear, that's the real money maker. PT still is and likely forever will be one of the greatest horror experiences that you can or could play. Each scare is executed perfectly, mixing up shock and drawn out tension in equal measure to create an atmosphere which is just so horribly fascinating that you lose yourself within it. And yet, with those words, Norman Reedus in Silent Hill, we saw the birth of hope and the death of that franchise. It's a bloody unmitigated shame and might well be the biggest example of Konami leaving money on the table and then setting the table on fire. In fact, you know what? It is so good. This game deserves a musical interlude. So, gentlemen, are you ready for a spooktacular sing-along? Osley?
Hey, look, it's me, Boozley Trick or Treaty.
Oh, James, you've come dressed as a ghoul. Oh no, you're just very pale.
I so pale.
I'm Julesy ass pumpkins, y'all. Any questions? Number 4, Halo 2. So Halo 2 is easily the strangest entry in the entire series because on the one hand it introduced us to Xbox Live of unmitigated and brilliant online multiplayer gaming. But on the other hand, it gave us one of the weirdest, absolutely batshit crazy narratives for the single player that I've experienced in many a year. This single player pulled focus from Master Chief, pushed a ton of new characters, and included an absolutely batty plot thread of a giant sentient piece of lettuce with tentacles, and unfortunately, that didn't set the world on fire in the same way as the online did. Yet, after a few stop-starts, the campaign actually looked like it was going to be finding its footing, and as the Chief uttered that immortal line that he was going to finish the fight, we all gripped our controllers in excitement as to what the final battle might be. Well, it turns out that we were going to have to wait 3 years to finish the fight. I mean, what the was he doing up there? Was he working undercover as one of the chefs in the cafeteria for a bit, poisoning them slowly? I was so annoyed by the ending of this. And you know what? I actually feel completely justified in it as well, because even the developers, on the developers' commentary of this game, they said, yeah, this wasn't the best. They made fun of their own ending. It turns out that the reason why this was such a cut-and-shut job is that Microsoft forced development to be 6 months earlier, like they needed to launch 6 months earlier than they originally planned, and they had to cut 3 levels, which were going to flesh this whole thing out. So yes, for all of you there trying to defend the ending, it's not even finished. Number 3, Wolfenstein II New Colossus. If there is one thing that the Wolfenstein franchise does extremely well, it is let you kill Nazis in just the best possible ways. There is no greater feeling than absolutely leveling an incompetent and incontinent Adolf Hitler, let me tell you. And not many other games can boast that one of their final bosses is a mecha Hitler. Throughout all of their adventures, you felt like you were blasting apart this huge racist regime, and the endings always left players feeling like they survived the odds and saved the world. That being said, Wolfenstein II New Colossus didn't exactly end with the impact that many hoped it would, despite being an exceptionally fun ride that finally lets you get revenge on Irene Engel, who, apart from being a monstrous twat, also has the dubious honor of actually successfully killing you. Well, almost. Still, it's time to return the favor, and after burying an axe into her skull in a rather gruesome fashion, the gang turns to the rolling cameras and start to address the nation, calling for a revolution you watch on in anticipation that you'll finally be able to take to the streets and fight back en masse, only for the game to end. Oh, right. Okay then. I mean, fine, if that was just a sequel bait tease and just ended there. I mean, yes, it would have been a bit disappointing, but I would have gotten over it. However, the weird thing is that it places you back into the gameplay and just says, hey, look lads, there's tons of stuff to do. Got to take down these Uber commanders now. But that feels really shallow compared to what you've just said is going to happen. We're not fighting a war still. It just looks like we're just doing the same levels over and over again. That endgame's a bit weak, isn't it? Aye. Number 2, Sniper Ghost Warrior. Now let it be known, Sniper Ghost Warrior is not the perfect game. Far from it, in fact. But you know what? It does do a few things exceptionally well. For example, it used a lot of technology to make sure that when you were sneaking through the grass, that enemies actually had a kind of realistic sight, so they didn't actually see you in it. It made you feel pretty stealthy when you snuck past them, and especially when you just lined up a perfect shot and used all these air-resistant stuff and just planted one right in the side of somebody's head. That felt good. That would always be exhilarating no matter what the experience. However, when it came to the final mission, my god, they dropped the ball. Throughout the game, you've been destabilizing a vicious military group, sabotaging their supplies, freeing their political prisoners, and weakening the regime by taking out key personnel. And in the final mission, things have finally come to a head, and it is time for General Vasquez to lose his. So you line up your shot, you breathe deep, and you let loose a round that has been hours of gameplay in the making. Your aim is true, the bullet hits home, turning his brain into wet cake, and now you can make good on your escape. Wait, what? The game just fades to black and spells out the end. Oh, come on. This ending sequence deserved something like a frantic rush back through the jungle to a helicopter, or at least something. But no, he just seems like he's just gone, right, fired a shot. I guess I'll just wait here to die then. Well, it's been a good life, hasn't it? And number 1, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords. What a title. What a long-ass title. So, when you have just released an absolute smash hit of a video game, an absolute barnstormer that was blessed by Slime Jesus, the temptation is going to be great for you to basically kick out another title as quickly as possible and cash in. But the problem is this temptation leads you to the dark side. The dark side leads to anger. The anger leads to hate from the community that you've just released an absolute bit of tosh to, as they turn around and go, what, I'm not buying this. This is absolute rubbish. Get it back, get it back. And that's something dark side. I could have probably phrased that Star Wars metaphor better, but you get the point. But the real thing that you need to remember is 14 months. That's all that Obsidian were given to make a Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic follow-up, which, in case you hadn't guessed, is not a lot of time to deliver on one of the best received Star Wars games ever. Still, they did a bloody good job, and thanks to reusing a lot of the previous game's assets, delivered it on time. For a while, the world was stunned as it actually appeared in nearly every way to be better than the original. Better combat, more choices, and a ton of bug fixing. But then the ending happened, and 40 to 50 hours of gameplay went up in smoke like Alderaan under the Death Star's mighty beam. It was not a good experience, and things like your party members who you've been bonding with all of this time, they were just completely absent from the final moments, and you had no rhyme or reason as to how you even got to the final area or why you were even there. And the final battles, my god, they felt more phoned in than long-distance telephone sex. Thankfully, modders have been hard at work, and if you want to play the title with all of the cut content lovingly put back in, then the option is there for you. And I totally recommend that you do that, because when you experience it all as was intended to be, with a few improvements added in on top of that, of course, it is quite possibly the best Star Wars game ever made. And I do not say that lightly. Lightly. And there we go, my friends. That was our special Halloween-themed episode of Choose Your Own Adventure. I hope that you enjoyed that, my friends, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as any other suggestions that you may have for next week's episode. If you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice. It's my personal gaming channel where I stream every single Wednesday and Sunday. But before I go, my friends, I just want to say I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are taking care of yourself, both mentally and physically, especially at this point in time of recording. Where I am in Wales is going into another lockdown on top of this, so just please take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, treat yourself with love and respect, because especially right now, you deserve it more than ever. But here's one thing that I really want to stress: don't push yourself too hard, especially with everything that's going on right now. Take some time off. If you've got spare holiday, then trust me, a lot of people have been building up because there's nowhere to fucking go. Then use it, take some time off to just chill out, take your foot off the gas, enjoy the scenery for a little bit, and just relax, okay? I cannot stress that enough. Big love from me to you. Treat yourself well. I'll speak to you next week. Peace out.